Putin celebrated too early, and now the United States is sending more weapons. Hey there, friends from all around the world. Welcome back. And if you're new here, we're honored to have you. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Vladimir Putin thought he had former United States President Donald Trump all figured out. He believed he could pull Trump's strings like a puppet master. Putin lied, stalled, manipulated, all to keep pushing forward his reckless invasion of Ukraine. In his mind, he was the one calling the shots and Trump was just following along. But that illusion didn't last. Putin lost control. He celebrated way too early. Now the United States is ramping up weapons deliveries to Ukraine. Just as Trump grows increasingly frustrated with Putin's actions and doubles down on support for Putin's biggest enemy. On July 8th, Trump made a major announcement, after previously pausing military aid to Ukraine, including halting key air defense shipments. He made a sharp U-turn. Aid is back. Trump now says it's necessary to help end the war in Ukraine. The Associated Press quoted Trump saying during the announcement, "We have to do this. They need to be able to defend themselves. They're getting hit hard right now. We're going to send more weapons, mostly defensive ones." This is great news for Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, and definitely bad news for Putin. The Russian leader thought the pause in United States aid gave him the green light to intensify airstrikes. He thought Trump was someone he could manipulate to get exactly what he wanted. Now, Putin's realizing he overplayed his hand. He pushed too hard with delay tactics during ceasefire talks, and Washington got fed up. The Pentagon confirmed Trump's decision, according to the AP, saying shipments will resume to ensure the Ukrainians can defend themselves while we work toward lasting peace and an end to the killing. So yes, peace is still on the table. But this latest move shows Trump understands that peace only comes when Putin is under pressure. The United States can't let Putin feel like he's winning, or he'll believe he has the upper hand in future negotiations. Just days ago, Putin did have the upper hand. His overconfidence came from how shaky United States support for Ukraine had seemed. As the New York Times reported, Ukraine's relationship with the United States has had its ups and downs, much more than Zelensky would like. This recent pause was the second time aid had been halted in 2025, although the reasons were different each time. The first pause came back in early March, after a tense and disastrous meeting between Trump and Zelensky at the White House. The two clashed hard, and that led Trump to pull military and intelligence support, but within days, both were restored after a deal was reached for a 30-day ceasefire, which Putin ultimately rejected. The latest pause had more to do with United States concerns about its own missile stockpiles, especially the Patriot missiles. As The Guardian reported on July 8th, the United States believes it only has about 25% of the Patriots it needs for all its military plans, and those Patriots weren't meant for Ukraine. They were being used in the Middle East. When Iran fired ballistic missiles at the Al Udeid air base in Qatar in response to United States strikes, the United States had to use nearly 30 Patriot missiles to defend itself. Now that tensions with Iran have cooled a bit, it looks like the United States is able to refocus on helping Ukraine again. Whatever the reason, the pause seems to be over, at least for now, and United States aid will soon start flowing again. But the big question is, what exactly is Ukraine getting? According to the Associated Press, the pause shipments included Patriot missiles, Hellfire missiles, howitzer shells, GMLRS rockets, and other critical munitions. These are all essential. The Patriot missiles in particular are vital as Ukraine faces constant missile and drone attacks from Russia. And on July 8th, Trump promised to send 10 Patriot missiles to Ukraine. That's good news, but it's actually 20 fewer than the 30 that were originally planned before the pause. Those 30 missiles are still sitting on the Ukraine-Poland border, and it's unclear if Trump plans to send the full batch or just trickle them in slowly. But that's not all. The Wall Street Journal reported that Trump is now considering something he never did while in office: approving the delivery of entirely new weapons that Ukraine never got under President Biden. One idea on the table is sending another full Patriot battery to Ukraine, a big move. Although Ukraine still needs more missiles to make full use of any additional battery, it would give them more options to defend against Putin's airstrikes. And the US is also exploring whether some of Ukraine's allies could send batteries from their own stockpiles, which would significantly boost Ukraine's air defense in the coming months. This new battery would join 3 others already provided by the US, plus 3 from Germany and 1 from a European coalition, totaling 8. That's still not enough, according to Zelensky, who said Ukraine needs between 10 and 25 full Patriot systems for complete coverage. Still, getting closer to those numbers is a big deal, and honestly, it shows the US might be changing course. Until now, it was hesitating. Now it seems to be going all in. But not everyone's convinced this is a permanent shift. Maxim Skripchenko, head of a Kiev-based research group, said, "This isn't the ideal strategy we'd like to see, but we need to adapt and find Ukraine's place in that strategy." He made these comments amid concerns that the US might not stay consistent, especially with Trump shifting more attention toward the Middle East and the Pacific. Still, Trump's decision to restart aid has sparked at least some cautious optimism. Right now, people in Ukraine don't care about the long-term strategy. They just want help. And they want it now. Trump echoed that urgency when explaining his decision, saying that Putin had been hitting Ukraine hard in recent weeks. He wasn't wrong. According to the UK's ambassador to the UN, Barbara Woodward, Russia's airstrikes against Ukrainian civilians have escalated over the summer. Speaking at a UN Security Council meeting in June, she said at least 28 civilians were killed and hundreds more injured during attacks between June 11th and 17th. She stressed these weren't random, they were calculated, deliberate, and designed to break Ukraine's spirit. And the attacks are still going. On July 4th, just hours after a call between Trump and Putin, Russia launched its largest drone strike yet, 539 drones and 11 missiles. One person was killed and 26 injured, as nearly every district in Kyiv was targeted. Ukraine said 72 drones got through its air defenses, and the total number launched shattered Russia's previous record of 537 drones on June 28. What we're seeing is a Russian leader who was so sure he had Trump in his pocket that he thought he could bomb Ukraine without consequence. While Putin was stalling and arguing with the US over a potential ceasefire, he was also ramping up air attacks on Ukraine throughout 2025. This was confirmed by data shared by Radio Free Europe and Radio Liberty on July 5th, citing numbers from the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project, or ACLED. ACLED tracked Russian airstrikes and drone attacks from January 2024 through June 27, 2025. In all of 2024, there was only 1 month when Russia launched more than 2,000 drones and missiles at Ukraine. That was in September, with 2,075 projectiles killing 452 people. But in 2025, that 2,000 mark was crossed 4 times as Russia steadily escalated its strikes since December 2024. In December, 1,269 drones and missiles were launched, killing 216 people. In January, that number jumped to 1,718 with 217 dead. In February, it reached 1,846, causing 286 deaths. Then came March, when Russia launched 2,190 drones and missiles, killing 393 people. Things got worse in April, with 2,277 launched and 440 deaths. In May, 2,436 projectiles were fired, killing 333, and even though June saw a slight drop, with 2,110 launched by the 27th of the month, it still caused 335 deaths, and it was more than what Ukraine faced in May 2024, showing that Putin remains committed to his intense aerial campaign. These numbers tell a clear story. Russia is leaning heavily on airstrikes to hammer Ukraine, killing hundreds in the process, and Putin has no intention of slowing down. That July 4th attack we mentioned earlier proves it. Russia set a new record, and was already a quarter of the way toward hitting the 2,000 mark for the 5th straight month in 2025. This all puts the US decision to resume military aid to Ukraine in a new light. Putin's air campaign hasn't just intensified temporarily, it's been relentless all year. Zelensky's calls for more Patriot missiles are part of a desperate plea to the West for help defending against Russia's air assault. Trump's shift in position isn't a full solution to Zelensky's problems, but it is a crucial first step, and it might lead to more advanced air defenses coming Ukraine's way soon. Looking ahead, there's one thing that's clear. Trump is getting fed up with Putin. For months, Putin believed he had Trump wrapped around his finger, but now, his manipulations are only making the US president angrier. The Guardian reported on July 9th that during a televised meeting with senior officials, Trump said, "We get a lot of crap from Putin if you want the truth. He's very nice all the time, but it turns out it's all meaningless. CNN also noted that Trump's frustration with Putin has been building for months. Back in February, Trump was saying very different things. I think he wants peace. I mean, I know him well. Yes, I think he wants peace. I think he'd tell me if he didn't. I trust him on this. In just 5 months, Trump went from trust to calling it nonsense. Why? Because Putin kept playing games thinking he had control over the US president. But now, Trump sees through it. His comments about Putin being nice but meaningless say it all. And as Trump's frustration grows, so does his willingness to help Ukraine. If Zelensky keeps being honest and direct in his talks with Trump, and continues trying to negotiate a ceasefire, it'll only deepen Trump's anger toward Putin, possibly translating into even more aid for Ukraine. Many in Ukraine see this U.S. aid resumption as a signal that the political winds in Washington are shifting. One of them is Irina Herashchenko, a member of Ukraine's parliament. After Trump's announcement, she posted on Facebook, "This is a sign of political change in Washington. The growing intensity of Russian attacks and pressure from allies like Germany and France are forcing the White House to change course. It's also a result of Congress's influence, where Republicans and Democrats often unite in calls to support Ukraine." She added, "I can't stress enough how important it is to keep the conversation going with Congress." Herashchenko sees increasing unity in the U.S. over Ukraine, which she believes can only benefit her country. She also sees an opportunity. For Ukraine, this is a critical moment to boost our defense capabilities and restart strategic dialogue with the U.S. The communication between 5 or 6 officials has failed. Our negotiation team needs experienced diplomats who don't frustrate Washington. She's got a point. Even though relations between the U.S. and Ukraine seem to be improving now, Zelensky needs to work hard to keep it that way. Ukraine can't afford to let Trump become frustrated with them the way he is with Putin. That means going all in on diplomacy and showing the U.S. they're ready to work together. Zelensky's candidness about Ukraine's situation and openness to peace talks are important, but now he must be careful not to provoke Trump while letting his frustration with Putin continue to build. There's also the issue of tariffs to consider. Throughout his second term, Trump has used tariffs as a tool to pressure other countries, especially China. But Russia has mostly been immune from them. Some might see that as a sign Trump sympathizes with Putin, but the reality is different. The U.S. barely trades with Russia at all. In 2024, the U.S. Trade Representative's Office said total trade between the two countries was only $3.5 billion, with imports from Russia dropping over 34%. So, direct tariffs wouldn't have much impact. But indirect tariffs? That's another story. Trump has already hinted that he's considering new sanctions on Russia. When asked by reporters, The Guardian says Trump replied, "I'm looking at it and said any move by the U.S. would be a little surprise for Putin." This could end up aligning with a bipartisan bill being pushed by Senator Lindsey Graham. The bill would impose indirect tariffs on any country that continues trading with Russia. And Graham has floated a shocking rate, 500%. The logic is simple. Since the U.S. doesn't trade much with Russia directly, the U.S. can hurt Russia by going after its customers instead. A 500% tariff on those countries would force them to think twice before buying anything from Putin. Graham seems determined to go full throttle. After Trump announced the return of U.S. aid to Ukraine, he posted on X, formerly Twitter, Ukraine has agreed to a ceasefire and to all meeting requests while Putin keeps ignoring peace efforts. It's time to give President Trump more tools to end this war. He added that he expects the Senate to pass the bipartisan Russian Sanctions Act, which includes tariffs and sanctions on nations supporting Putin's war machine while denying help to Ukraine. The bill also allows for presidential waivers, giving Trump maximum leverage. The bill already has support from 85 co-sponsors, and that number's growing. For now, Ukraine is surely pleased with how the past few days have gone. U.S. missiles will soon be flowing again, giving Ukraine the firepower it needs to better defend itself from Putin's forces. Of course, Ukraine always needs more. But seeing Trump lose patience with Putin, that's a big win too. Because it could bring even more decisions in Ukraine's favor down the line. Putin celebrated too early. He thought he had Trump wrapped around his finger. But what he actually had was a snake. One that just broke free and bit him hard, while he kept trying to tighten his grip on Ukraine. And as all this unfolds, Russian troops are falling like dominoes on the Ukrainian battlefield. With modern weapons flowing in, Ukraine is using old-school World War I style tactics to wipe out Russian